Hi, everybody. Welcome to Defeat Depression Day. I'm Dave. I'm the National Executive Director for Mood Disorders Society of Canada. And I just wanted to say welcome. This is going to be a wonderful live stream event. We've got some incredible guest stars and some absolutely fantastic presentations. You know, we've all just gone through a challenging couple of months. We've all seen a great deal, either through personal experience and family members, or loved ones, or neighbors, or on the news. Many people are healthcare workers and providers, and they've been having a very hard time at work. So I just wanted to take some time today and to say thank you to all of them, and especially all of the mental health organizations that take part in the campaign. You know, we've got some incredible folks out there who come out and they register and take part in these walks and runs, and they raise funds to support the organizations across the country that are providing direct mental health services to Canadians who are really in desperate need of those services. And now more than ever, there's going to be a lot more people coming forward to access these supports with the challenges that we're facing. Today, we're going to celebrate the achievements of these groups and recognize the accomplishments and the programs that they have developed and are delivering. And we're going to see some innovative things today. So I'm really proud of the program that the team has put together. I'm very happy to introduce our wonderful Master of Ceremonies today, Jessica Holmes, who is from the Canadian Air Force and CTV The Holmes Show. She's a mental health advocate. She's a spokesperson for the Bell Let's Talk campaign, and she also provided this wonderful book, Depression the Comedy. So I'm sure she's going to talk a little bit further about that. And just wanted to say one more personal thank you to all of our great staff and volunteers who have worked so hard in converting this program this year from an in-person event to a virtual program that we're able to celebrate together from coast to coast. So thank you to everybody and our national sponsors. We couldn't have done this without you, and they came behind us, and we explained what we wanted to do this year, and they stood up 110%. So thank you to our national sponsors. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, and we hope that this program inspires you and motivates you and encourages you and gives you hope for the future. And if you can, remember these mental health organizations, they need your support. So if you haven't donated already, click on the donate button at the screen and give a little donation to them, and I'm sure they'll greatly appreciate it. So take care, have a great event today, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dave. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me in your homes today. I'm Jessica Holmes, and for those of you who are familiar with me, just call me J-Ho. You might recognize me from Royal Canadian Air Force. I was the first new cast member ever added to that show. At the time, I was the only cast member still with their original teeth. But like I say, at the time. So I'm so grateful to have you guys here. Welcome to the Mood Disorder Society of Canada's Defeat Depression event. Today, we're highlighting the achievements that we have seen, hearing from people with lived experiences, and their stories are going to move you. We're going to be entertained by some pretty great performers, and I may throw a little couple of characters in here and there. You never know what's going to happen. Either way, it's win-win because you just get to sit back and relax, judge everyone's home for the next couple of hours, and enjoy the spontaneity of you never know if a lawnmower is going to go off, if a toilet's going to flush. Who knows? This is new for all of us, broadcasting from our homes. So listen, mental health is a passion of mine. I have dabbled in depression, both postpartum and garden variety depression, if you will. And I'm so grateful to be healthy enough to be here today and share this experience with you. So you'll hear about key areas of mental health that are especially relevant during this time. Our lives have changed over the last 4 months. We're learning why it's truly important to care for one another and to take care of ourselves. And you know what? I mean, whatever we're doing for our mental health, we have to double up on it right now. This has been a difficult time, you know. I don't even know which day of the week it is because it's kind of like Groundhog Day every day, a little bit like being in the Twilight Zone. Everyone's jeans are shrinking. They won't button up anymore. And I think that's why people have stopped wearing pants on Zoom meetings. We're just gone full Donald Duck, just the top. For the record, I'm wearing pants. Anyways, guys, this morning is the perfect opportunity to celebrate how we've grown and persevered through this challenge. Honestly, give yourselves a giant pat on the back for whatever you've been doing so far. For so many of us with mental health challenges, just doing the regular stuff is harder than people know. And so I congratulate you on just being well enough to be here today. And let's keep going. So we'd love social media posts using the hashtag Defeat Depression Day. Please share your thoughts, your photos, and your videos with everyone who's with us. Today is about you and your family and friends and all the organizations that are providing crucially important mental health support at this time. Today is also about being together, showing each other we care, and working together to tackle mental illness. No one is alone, and we really are all in this together. So we're going to start today off in a very beautiful way. It's my pleasure to introduce Bob Thibault. Bob is a Canadian Armed Forces veteran who served 38 years in combat arms with the infantry. He embraced his Métis culture and in 2009 began an Aboriginal company aimed at teaching awareness, training, and cultural revitalization, with the main client being the Canadian Air Force. Bob is going to perform an Indigenous blessing to start our event. Over to you, Bob.
Ani, bonjour. Good morning, friends. It is my privilege to welcome everyone from across Canada to this virtual meeting. The land that you refer to, Canada, and our land we refer to as Turtle Island. These lands, first occupied by First Nations, the Inuit, and the Métis, are lands that you will be hearing speakers today speak from every corner of the country. These are traditional lands or treaty lands, but are considered our lands since time immemorial. I thank my First Nations, Métis, Inuit sisters and brothers for the opportunity to share these words on their lands today. Creator gave us Mother Earth. She provides us with everything for all of the relations on Mother Earth to survive and to live in harmony and balance. Every living being we consider as a relative and as an equal. We do not only recognize human beings as our equal, but every living thing on this planet, Mother Earth, all plants, all the animals. There are no superior beings. And through our love of all of those on Mother Earth, we show a sign of respect for each other. When we take something from her, we only take what is required for us, for our family, our community, and for us. We offer medicine, the medicine that Mother Earth provides. We offer that back to her as a sign of respect for the gifts that she has provided to us. Today, I will offer a prayer to cleanse your mind, your body, and your spirit as you continue on this journey today. I hold the eagle feather, for the eagle flies the closest to the Creator. He flies the highest in the sky, the closest to Creator, and brings our prayers and thoughts to Creator. Eagle also sees everything happening on Mother Earth. Great Spirit, give us hearts to understand, never to take from creation's beauty more than we give, never to destroy for the furtherance of greed, never to deny to give our hands for the building of earth's beauty, never to take from her what we cannot use. Give us hearts to understand that to destroy earth's music is to create confusion, that to wreck her appearance is to blind us to beauty, that to callously pollute her fragrance is to make a house of stench, that as we care for her, she will care for us. Give us hearts to understand we have forgotten who we are. We have sought only for our own security. We have exploited simply for our own ends. We have distorted our knowledge and abused our power. O Great Spirit, whose dry lands thirst, help us to find the way to refresh your lands. Great Spirit, whose waters are choked with debris and pollution, help us to find a way to cleanse your waters. Great Spirit, whose beautiful earth grows ugly with misuse, help us to find the way to restore beauty to your handiwork. Great Spirit, whose creatures are being destroyed, help us to find a way to replenish them. O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, whose breath gives me life to the world, I need your strength and your wisdom. May I walk in beauty. Miigwech, miigwech, miigwech.
Bob, thank you so much for those incredibly beautiful words. I know I'm moved, and I can see on our Facebook feed, so many people are joining us, and they also say these words are beautiful. And so thank you, Bob. You know, we have people joining us so far from St. John's, Kingston, Edmonton, Nova Scotia, and you'll see at the bottom of your Facebook feed that you can add your comments in. So feel free to type us a note and say hi. I'll try and read some of them as I'm on here, but everyone appreciated the beautiful opening ceremony, Bob. So thank you. And now we have some special words from the Right Honourable Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, whose life was touched by mental illness.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. For starters, I want to thank the Mood Disorders Society of Canada for coordinating this national campaign and for bringing together organizations from across the country to tackle mental illness. Mental illness has affected so many of us, including my own family. My mom's personal struggles with depression and bipolar disorder taught me that strength comes in many forms. Being vulnerable and open is one of them. Ça prend une force et une résilience incroyables pour raconter son histoire. J'aimerais donc dire à tous ceux et celles qui ont raconté leur histoire aujourd'hui, merci. Vous faites avancer les choses et vous transformez la conversation autour de la santé mentale au Canada. By breaking down stigma, we can make it easier for more people to open up, reach out, and find support. And to all the mental health workers and supporters, thank you for making sure our friends and neighbors have the support they need. Today's event is truly a wonderful example of what happens when we all stand together. Encore une fois, merci.
Thank you so much to our Prime Minister for those beautiful words. And I have to say, since the salons are closed, thank you for inspiring us with your beautiful hair. Because quite frankly, I pulled out the old Flowbee to give my husband a haircut. It's the old vacuuming hair cutter thing. I've been cutting his hair with a beard trimmer before that. It's just, things aren't pretty around here. Anyhow, that was very beautiful. And we're going to keep the beauty going because in a typical year, the Defeat Depression campaign would see the gathering of thousands of people taking parts in events that are planned from coast to coast. And so now we're trying our best to be together in a community online. But here is a look at the incredible power of community of past Defeat Depression events.
raining. It's been raining all morning. It is still raining, but it's like a kind of perfect metaphor in a way for depression and mental health challenges. Not every day is a good day, but part of getting through the tougher days are having that support around you. We're a supportive bunch out here trying to just face the weather, face the conditions, face the reality, and just ready to greet people. Walk run, and wow, what a way to get this event and this morning started, right?
I was diagnosed with depression 18 years ago. Aside from my doctor and one other person on this planet, no other person knew about my depression until 8 years ago. A relationship breakup happened, which coincided with a very stressful job loss, and I ended up in the hospital. The grave and watch the abyss of depression.
You know, what strikes me about that video is how people were physically connecting, touching each other to let each other know that they're supporting each other. And we aren't able to do that physically at this time, but I definitely hope that today shows you that we do have your back, that we are all in this together, supporting you, that there is a community out there that really does care about people who are going through mental health struggles. So please, anyone out there who is struggling, know that you are not alone, and that please take advantage of the resources that we're talking about and sharing today. So a lot of people wanted to send their appreciation today. I see we have friends from Manitoulin Island, from Mississauga, from Ottawa, and someone else wanted to send their appreciation along with a few tips. Here is the Tiger King.
Hey, it's me, Tiger King. I do really like these Zoo meetings. Hell, I love anything with the word zoo in it. People call me the Tiger King. I'm trying to keep my noggin healthy. Part of that is staying away from Carol Baskin. Meditate. Carol Baskin cannot hurt me. Carol Baskin cannot hurt me. Carol Baskin cannot hurt me. Tiger King was the most binge program on Netflix. Well, now, they're going to put me in more of their Netflix shows, like The Crown, because I'm the king and I do love my jewelry. And since I'm already in prison, I'd be a natural for Orange is the New Black. And I belong on Stranger Things. Sounds like that show is named after my life. Okay, before as I go, it's time for Joe's Daily Life Lesson. I have one easy step to increase your mental health. That step is stay out of jail. Staying out of jail is fun, easy, and doesn't cost nothing. Let's review that step 1. Stay out of jail. I'll even throw in a bonus step 2. It's the same as step 1 on account of that step is so effective. So yeah, stay out of jail. Have a great day, y'all. Beat depression.
No words, no words, except that I want you to know there's never a dull moment in my wardrobe. All right, on a classier note, here's a special parliamentary welcome from a big supporter of the Defeat Depression campaign, currently serving in the Nipissing-Timiskaming district for a 5th term as their Member of Parliament. He is the 37th Speaker in the history of Canada's House of Commons. Please welcome the Honourable Anthony Rota.
Hello, this is Anthony Rota, Member of Parliament for Nipissing-Timiskaming and Speaker of the House of Commons in Ottawa. I want to welcome everyone, and I want to thank the Mood Disorder Society of Canada for holding this event. They've done a wonderful job at putting things together to bring awareness to mental illness and depression. And the big push is defeating depression. Depression is something that affects all of us, whether it's directly or indirectly. It's something that drags us all down as a society. So what we have to do is work together and come together and see how we can change things. The next 2 hours are going to be very interesting because what you're going to see is people sharing ideas, bringing ideas that they've had and things that have worked for them and sharing them with other people. The nice thing about ideas is when 2 people come together with 2 different ideas, people leave with more than they came with. It's not about trading and being equal. They're exchanging ideas that allows them to lead a better life. Mental health is something that's very important to the Government of Canada and all parliamentarians. They know that with a more robust society and people who can take care of themselves, then we can be more productive as a community and as a society. And that's where we have to work on getting rid of the stigma. When something goes wrong, we fix it. If we break our arm, we repair it, put a cast on. Mental illness, mood disorders, depression is the same thing. We want to get it fixed. So I think it's very important that we all work together and come forward and make this work so that we can all advance together. I want to give a special shout out to all our emergency workers, whether they're ambulance drivers, whether they're firefighters, police officers, nurses, doctors, people who are getting the front end of everything that's happening throughout COVID-19. They're seeing things that most humans aren't made to see. And of course, there's our veterans who are out there as well. So to all of you, I want you to enjoy the next 2 hours, learn from it. And again, thank you to the Mood Disorder Society of Canada for coming forward with this idea and making it work for everyone. And let's all get through COVID-19, because you know what? On the other side of this tunnel, we're all going to get out together. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those wise words and the reminder of what we still have to do to get ourselves just moving in the right direction. So we are now going to hear from Sean McCann. He's the founder of the iconic Canadian band Great Big Sea, and he is also an Order of Canada recipient for his advocacy for those living with mental health and addiction issues. He has spent 7 years touring the country as a musical keynote speaker, singing and sharing his story with teachers, students, patients, inmates, veterans, and anyone affected by addiction or abuse.
Hello, everybody. Sean McCann here, chiming in from Ottawa, Ontario today. There's 2 things I know about depression. The first is that it affects all of us. No one is immune to depression. There's no vaccine for it, and we all experience it in some way during the course of our lives. The other thing I know about depression is that we can defeat it. We can overcome depression if we work together. How I cope with depression is by singing songs together with you. And this is a song I wrote way back now, a few years ago, when I was in a very, very vulnerable state of mind. I had just started my recovery and I was experiencing extreme isolation and depression. And I wrote this song, and when I wrote it, I knew that I would be okay. And I want you to sing along with me, and I'll hear you somehow. In my heart, I will hear you. And you only need to know one word, and the word is stronger. You'll know when your part comes up. Here we go. Been a long time now since you left me here alone, but I don't mind, 'cause I have grown and I feel alright. Something must be wrong. Gonna take my time, gonna sing my song, 'cause I am stronger. That's your word. It was one big lie. Now I can't believe my eyes, but I'm not the kind who lay down and die. You can fool me once, that's on me, but try it twice and you will see that I am stronger, better every day. I am stronger, and I've got something to say. I am pretty good, brighter than the sea. I am stronger than I ever used to be. When it all comes down, you'll be nowhere to be found, but I'll be standing here, I'll still be around, and I'll take this old guitar and I'll fill it with my heart, and I'll show the world I'm ready to make a brand new start. 'Cause I am stronger, you got it, better every day. I am stronger, and I've got something to say. I am stronger, deeper than the sea. I am stronger than I ever used to be. If it takes 1,000 years for the truth to break, I will overcome my fear, set that record straight, and I'll be stronger than all your sticks and stones. I'll be stronger, 'cause I know where I'm going. I'll be stronger, brighter than the sun. I am stronger, and I've only just begun. I am stronger, better every day. I am stronger, and I've got something to say. I am stronger, deeper than the sea. I am stronger than I ever used to be. Well sung, I heard it in my heart. And we are stronger. I learned a lesson that day. I learned 2 lessons. The first was, I'm not truly alone, because as long as I have a song, I have a friend. And the other lesson I learned was that I'm stronger than I think. We are all capable of great strength, and we're all worthy of compassion and love. And love. Love is the other thing. Love is the other thing that can do a lot. Just telling someone you care about them, asking someone how they are, these small signs of love can change a person's outlook in the course of a day, a week, a month, or even a life. So I'll leave you with this little simple song. It's very simple, but it says a lot. You know I love you. You know I care. You know I miss you when I'm not there. I carry you with me everywhere I go, because I love you. Now you know. I climb the mountains, I cross the sea, the lonesome valleys and the grand prairie. I carry you with me for all to see, because I love you. You can count on me. I've done so many miles alone, song if you know it. You know I love you. You know I care. You know I care. You know I'll miss you. You know I'll miss you when I'm not there. When I'm not there, I carry you with me. I carry you with me everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. Because I love you. Because I love you. I am not alone.
Sean, that was so beautiful. That is in my heart for the rest of the day. And I'm sure a lot of us are feeling stronger right now. And that's the thing with mental health. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, doing the things that make you feel stronger, filling up on beautiful community stuff like this. All right, Brianne Moore is a longtime mental health advocate and public speaker from Ottawa. She's the national co-chair of Canadians for Equitable Access to Depression Medication. Let's hear her story.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianne Moore. I am a mental health advocate from Ottawa, Ontario, and I am so excited to be joining you all for the Defeat Depression campaign. I hope you are enjoying your walks, jogs, dance parties, however it is that you chose to participate in the challenge. Today I'll be chatting a little bit about my journey with mental illness and my journey of recovery as well. So I was 4 when I first began experiencing symptoms of anxiety. I had a lot of fears that weren't typical for someone my age, and these fears were really getting in the way of me being able to get through a regular school day. I missed a lot of school because these fears were so overwhelming I wasn't able to participate. Doctors did confirm that the anxiety wasn't within a normal range for someone my age, but there was hope with time I would outgrow these fears and it would get easier. And some of the fears I did outgrow, but some of them stuck with me for a really long time. And even when I was 13 and starting the 8th grade, I was still really struggling with anxiety. In addition to the anxiety, I started experiencing a really heavy sadness and feeling quite low a lot of the time. My grades in classes that I was doing really well in began to slip. I was skipping class altogether, and I began self-harming as a way to cope with these feelings that I really didn't know how to express. I kept my struggle a secret for a long time because I was afraid of how people would react to me struggling. I was afraid that they would view me differently, and I knew stigma existed. So it wasn't until I was in the 11th grade after I had had a suicide attempt and was struggling with an eating disorder that I spoke up. I finally told my guidance counselor and my best friend what I had been going through, and they were both so supportive. My best friend was really there for me every step of the way, and my guidance counselor was able to connect me to resources in the community, therapy that I could attend to start working through some of these feelings. In grade 12, I was in counseling and I was taking medication for my depression, and I started getting involved in mental health advocacy. I was in a group called IMUM, which stands for I Matter, You Matter, and we gave presentations to grade 9 students in our school about mental health and how to help a friend. Through being in this group, I was the 2015 Youth Inspiration Award winner from the Royal Ottawa. And through getting involved with mental health advocacy and receiving this award, I realized that I could take these really challenging times that I was going through and turn it into something that was going to make a difference in my community, something that could start some really important conversations that I was afraid to have when I was struggling for the first time. Recovery wasn't easy, but it was worth it. It took a lot of work to be able to change my thoughts and adapt the way I react to certain situations. But now I'm in a place where I can recognize when I'm having a tough time, reach out for extra support if I need it, and really draw in on those strategies that I've learned over the years. Currently, I am national co-chair on a coalition called CEDAM, which stands for Canadians for Equitable Access to Depression Medication. And we advocate for all Canadians to have the same access to innovative depression medications, regardless of whether you have private insurance or not. Because currently, folks who are on private insurance plans have more access to depression medications than those folks on public plans. And me, myself, I have not found a depression medication that works well for me yet, but I'm still on that journey. I'm very open with my medication journey. I'm very open with my mental health journey, and it's okay to say that you're struggling. It's okay to say that you take medication. Currently, right now, with the uncertain time that we're in, it's more important than ever that we're really pulling in on those strategies that help us maintain good mental health. Reach out to friends, reach out to family if you're struggling, do things that you enjoy. Check in on friends and family, see how they're doing if you know someone that's struggling. It's important that since we can't physically be together, we all come together socially and make sure we're checking in with each other. And of course, if you need extra supports, there are supports available in the community as well. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the Defeat Depression agenda today. Thank you for joining me and listening to my story. If you'd like to connect further, you can reach out to me on Twitter at MeetBree, and I'm sure we'll chat soon. Bye.
Brianne, thank you so much for your very honest candor, and thank you for the beautiful message and for trying to help everyone have equal access to depression medication. That's so important. All right, let's have a look at how the Defeat Depression campaign actually works.
Defeat Depression is a national mental health fundraising campaign by Mood Disorders Society of Canada in partnership with mental health organizations, schools, colleges and universities, employers, and community groups across Canada. Defeat Depression events raise funds in support of their local mental health programs and services. The campaign has grown into a national movement, bringing much-needed funds and awareness of mental health issues while fighting mental health stigma. Since its beginning in 2012, hundreds of events have taken place in communities across Canada, engaging tens of thousands of people in walks, runs, bike rides, and other activities. The benefits these events are having on their local communities is truly remarkable and inspiring. The strength of the Defeat Depression campaign are the incredible people who join, bring their family and friends to take part. They show how they care about helping each other. They make the message clear. If mental illness appears, do not be silent. The number one step is to come forward to a family member, friend, or healthcare professional and tell them. We are all in this together, and we are here to support each other. The Defeat Depression campaign brings people and organizations together and has formed a national social movement to change the way we work together to tackle mental illness. We wear the event t-shirts proudly. We all come together to share our stories, to overcome challenges, and to help our communities raise funds to support mental health programs and services. Defeat Depression campaign provides the tools and resources to enable successful fundraising walks, runs, and other activities across the country. It is the people in your community that bring the passion, courage, and heart to the events. They are the amazing and inspiring leaders who raise desperately needed funds for mental health.
Being part of the Defeat Depression campaign, there are no words. It's so invigorating hearing from the other organizing hosts, and it evokes an energy that there's no words for it. The prompt for conversation is beyond rewarding and inspires collaboration and such creativity. It's a wild ride, but it's so rewarding.
At least 1 in 5 Canadians each year will be affected by a mental illness, and the remaining 4 are impacted indirectly. When all 5 of us work together, it is the best way to successfully tackle mental illness.
It's been fantastic to be part of the Defeat Depression campaign and be affiliated with Mood Disorders Society of Canada. I've had a lot of fun and it's been very meaningful these last 6 years. And it's all about not only raising money vital money for local support programs, but also raising awareness of mental health issues and destigmatizing mental illness. Obviously, there's no difference between a mental health issue and a physical health issue. So it's been fantastic to be involved, and I'm happy to be the organizer 6 years on, and looking forward to this year's event and many more.
These events are making real differences for people who are affected by mental illness and is helping their families and friends. We have heard firsthand accounts of how these events are leading to people finally coming forward for help. This is what the campaign is all about. Defeat Depression works because of you, because you care. Join us. Together, we can defeat depression.
So grateful for all the great work that is happening out there. And you can actually donate to the campaign right on the screen. Just click on the donate button and let's raise some funds today for these groups to keep this momentum going. And right now we're going to hear from Dino Otranto. He is the COO of Vale North Atlantic Operations. Vale has taken important steps to support the mental health of their workers and their families. I know that firsthand because I got to go up to Sudbury to one of their headquarters and speak to all the people working in the mines up there. And just beautiful work going on within that company on the mental health front. And they have been the Defeat Depression title sponsor for the past 3 years. And he's got a special message to share.
Hi, my name is Dino Otranto. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Vale's base metals business. We have operations in Manitoba, Ontario, Newfoundland, and Labrador. I'm here very happily to announce a further 3-year sponsorship for Defeat Depression. Vale's done quite a lot of work in this space. 5 years ago, we championed the first mental health study of our workforce. More recently, we worked with you guys in the development of the Elephant in the Room campaign, which was hugely successful. And now more than ever, in times like these, it's critical to look out for each other. So I hope that you all get actively involved in one of the many different programs that Defeat Depression is going on and really support this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's exciting news. Another 3 years as the title sponsor. So thank you so much, Vale. I would now like to turn it over to John Starczynski, President of the Mood Disorder Society of Canada. He's going to give insight into taking a collaborative approach to address mental health.
Hello, my name is John Starczynski. I am the President of the Mood Disorder Society of Canada. The Mood Disorder Society of Canada was born in 2001. Our board members are from all regions of the country and are a vast array of individuals who support and represent the lived experience community. Lived experience is in everything that we do. The board has been 1,000% behind this campaign since inception, and we have been so proud that the campaign has worked with so many different community organizations over the years. It is through these types of partnerships that the health of Canadians are improved. The Mood Disorder Society of Canada dedicates a great amount of effort in advocating for policy improvements and investments in mental health by the government. We are counted on by all levels of decision makers as a trusted provider of knowledge for governments to make decisions. Our organization is very proud of the work we have achieved in partnership with the private sector as well as the public sector. The Defeat Depression campaign is a perfect example of creating social change and improvement using a collaborative approach. We are so proud of everybody we work with and so impressed by every single person who joins the campaign and dedicates their efforts to supporting themselves, their families, and their communities to live healthier lives. Thank you for taking the time to watch the live stream Defeat Depression event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. And in terms of looking at what is happening in different communities, I'm just reading some of the posts that you're sharing on the live feed. And someone was mentioning that in the smaller communities, often there are no resources. So we just want to let you guys know that you can actually arrange to have one of these fundraising walks or runs for mental health in your community. And Defeat Depression, our team, will support you in what you're doing up there. So there's information on the website. You can check it out right after the program today, or check it out now. I won't be offended. I won't be offended if you go away from me to start setting something up in your community. All right. Akela Peoples is the CEO of Mental Health Research Canada. It's a national charitable organization dedicated to advancing mental health research and knowledge to improve our lives. They work closely with charitable partners across Canada, support growth in the sector, fill knowledge gaps, and generate impact-focused mental health research.
My name's Akila Peoples. I'm with Mental Health Research Canada, and I wanted to congratulate all of our friends at the Mood Disorder Society of Canada for this annual event that engages so many community organizations and raises millions of dollars for mental health and mental health related causes. What a tremendous effort by all of you. At Mental Health Research Canada, we advance mental health knowledge. And just this week, we've released a report and a complex data set around COVID-19 and its impact on the mental health of Canadians. I invite you to visit our website at mhrc.ca and use this information, share it. Hopefully it's going to be very valuable for stakeholders as we move forward. And it's the first survey of many to come over the next year. So congratulations again to Dave and his tremendous staff team. And I hope the event is the best success ever.
Thank you so much, Akela. And to anyone watching, you can share the live stream right now. And it doesn't matter that it's partway through because people can just watch it from the beginning or they can pick it up live if they'd like. And we now have a message from another Canadian who needs no introduction other than here is Celine.
Hello to everyone participating today. It is moi, Celine Dion. You're welcome. Listen, I want to say that I know depression has been described as the elephant in the room, and I am more like the giraffe in the room or the stick bug in the room. Very, very long and skinny, but I struggle sometimes with the language, you know. Even songs that I write them in French, and then to translate them to the English is much work for my brain. And the one that was the hardest work was, you know, the song from Titanic, near, far, wherever you are. But that was not the original lyric. The original translation was near, far. If you are far away, then we need to find your geographical location because we know that the GPS, it leads to my heart. But that one didn't do so well with the testing group. So during this time of COVID, it is very difficult for people to feel love, you know, to feel connected to each other. So I sometimes, you know, just to feel connection with people, I go to the neighbor and I poke them with a stick. I say, I want to be connected to you. I poke them and they say, don't do that, Celine. Celine, I hate living next to you. Don't do that anymore. But I poke still and say, look, we are one. I wish you well. Au revoir. Keep me in your heart, always.
No words, except to say, you know what? Life's more fun as Celine Dion. So I just pull that wig out and play her on a rainy day. All right. As you may know, mental health issues are on the rise among youth. And so we are very lucky to have the co-chairs of MDSC's Youth Committee, Jillian Stringer and Josh Vater here. Jill from McMaster University got involved with MDSC through my apologies. The letter D is apparently very hard for me. The Defeat Depression campaign. She joined the National Youth Advisory Council last year, and she's also involved in local mental health advocacy. And Josh founded the Queen's University Mental Health Initiative, which works to advocate and educate the Queen's community on mental health issues. He joined the Youth Council to connect with other like-minded individuals to help share resources among a larger network.
Hi. My name is Jill Stringer, and I am one of the co-chairs for MDSC's National Youth Advisory Council. Our council is made up of students from universities all around Ontario, as well as New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. We hope to truly represent the nation with members from coast to coast, and we are always looking for volunteers to help out with our initiatives. These initiatives are focused on two primary goals, the first of which is fostering collaboration and communication between students about mental health on university campuses across Canada. We also want to advocate for improvements to youth mental health services by conducting research that can be used to inform policy changes and by actively engaging ourselves with outreach initiatives. So before the world went on lockdown, we had just finished gathering survey data about students' opinions on the accessibility and the quality of mental health resources available to them on their campuses. So we kind of saw this as the first step in identifying gaps that need to be addressed in these youth support services. And come the fall, we hope to kind of dig deeper into identifying the specific areas where we can improve, areas we can increase awareness, and continue our research. However, for the time being, because of COVID-19, our council has kind of decided to shift our daily activities to focus more on how this national health pandemic, or global health pandemic, has impacted and will continue to impact our mental health. So for the past few months, we've been sharing resources in collaboration with local mental health services and local health professionals on our social media pages, teaching people coping skills, sharing ideas about how they can prioritize their wellness and their mental health, and generally just how you can cope with distress and uncertainty that so many of us are feeling right now. We are looking forward to also hosting several upcoming virtual community events where we're going to be having things like online games nights, online trivia nights, and even inviting experts and professionals to share their expertise, their opinions, their advice for these trying times. And have a Q&A so people can feel like their questions are being answered and there are resources out there available to them, which is an important part of our role, kind of cultivating that sense of community and that sense of peer connection and engagement.
My name is Joshua Fatir. I am one of the co-chairs for the National Youth Advisory Council under the Mood Disorder Society of Canada. I'm here to talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting students in this day and age across Canada. Three areas that I really wanted to touch on were academics, jobs and finances, and then the social impact of COVID-19. On the academic side, for those of you that don't know, the majority of university and colleges in Canada transitioned to online learning around 3 weeks until the end of the semester. This had a great impact on students and their ability to perform well in academics. I know for myself specifically, it was added stress to transition online because of you lose the structure of your days and your weeks, you lose the social interaction between your professors and your peers, and you just lose some of the benefits of being an on-campus student. Another reason why academics has been affected by COVID-19 is because of the uncertainty around what will happen in the fall. Some schools have shifted to online learning for the fall, some haven't. This is leaving a lot of stress and uncertainty in students' minds, and in my mind as well, because I want to go back to school and I'm looking to go back to school in the fall. And the shift to online learning has left a lot of questions in my mind and a lot of doubts. And so not only has COVID-19 affected the academics of the past and the present, it's also affecting the academics for students in the future. Next, I just wanted to talk a little bit about jobs and finances. As many of you probably know, the summer is the main time that students are able to work and earn money to help pay for their schooling for the next year. And now with COVID-19, a lot of those job opportunities that students occupy have either been canceled, delayed, had reduced hours, and it's been really, really difficult on students and their finances. StatsCan actually recently did a study with 100,000 students, and they found that only 24% of students had their positions as they would have been if COVID-19 had not happened. This leaves a large amount of students without jobs and in financial trouble. Students have bills to pay, whether it be rent, utilities, internet, groceries, and now they're out of jobs, like many Canadians around Canada who are struggling. But it is important for the council to highlight students and their unique perspectives, specifically when it comes to having to pay for school and those students who are already struggling financially. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the social impact of COVID-19. I know for myself personally, losing, like I said, that close interaction with professors, peers, friends, and teammates, whoever it may be, has been really a great stressor on many people's lives. Having to quarantine away from the people you see every day is already stressful enough without having to think of other things like finances and a global pandemic going on. And so our council is looking to address some of these issues by having online social bonding events that we are currently planning, and we are looking forward to hosting. We really hope that each and every one of you will take an interest to the council and our activities. And if you do, you can follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook. Both of the handles are NYACMDSC. We're really open to suggestions and questions because we want to hear from you, and we want to incorporate diverse voices and perspectives in the work we do. And the best way to do that is to engage with each and every one of you and to really hear your voice and allow us as a council to help magnify that voice. I just wanted to thank the Mood Disorder Society of Canada for allowing Jill and I to speak at this event. It's a really great way for us to spread our platform and to let you guys know about the work we do. So thank you.
Thanks so much, you guys. It's really important to hear from youth on this event as mental health issues are on the rise there. I know even for my kids, I've got 2 of them running around the house somewhere. I told them, keep it down and I'll give you candy after. Anyhow, even for them, lack of structure, lack of connecting with friends lately, all of it is hard. I keep telling them that unloading the dishwasher and helping out around the kitchen will make them feel better. I don't know if it's working, but they've been giving it a go. All right, Emily Maguire is a well-known artist from England who now lives in Australia. I'm jealous already. Emily has been a steadfast supporter of the Defeat Depression campaign for many years. She is an author and a songwriter and artist. Emily dedicated her song Keep Walking to our campaign, and it's now the anthem. So thank you so very much, and she'll be sharing her moving song, Starting Over Again, with us.
My name is Emily Maguire and I'm a singer-songwriter. I am bipolar, which means that I have recovered from many episodes of depression in my life. And I just wanted to say that although there are many roads to recovery, we are all on the same journey. And so however lonely I may feel at times, I know that I am not alone. And this is a song about my own recovery, and it's called Start Over Again. If I could breathe, then I would drown. I'm 50, feel older than God. I got dreams and a hole in my heart. He said, go slow, be kind, be wise, start over again. I come round. I said I'm off to London town. My love is strong, the years roll by, but now it's gone in the blink of an eye. And he said, go slow, you need time, be wise, start over again. Thrown in the muddy waters, I come down, and you were waiting there on the ground. And then you put your hand in mine. You put your heart on the line. You said, we'll go slow, you need time, be mine, start over again. So pour in the muddy waters, I won't drown. I'll be a walking hilltop town, and I will make the most of time. And someday
Emily, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I know for so many of us who have faced mental health struggles, we do feel like we are starting over again and again. I always say I'm grateful for the second, third, fourth, fifth chances that life has given me to start anew. Each day is another opportunity to hope for the best. And thank you so much for your beautiful song. All right, Laurel Johansson lives in Winnipeg. She's the lead organizer for the Defeat Depression Winnipeg event, and she has an incredible personal journey and is being caring enough to share her story with us.
I was diagnosed when I was 13, and it's never a good time to learn that you have a mental illness, but especially at 13, I found I was so fragile. I mean, I was just figuring out who I was, through a series of events that happened in my life. I ended up trying to commit suicide when I was 13. I was so miserable, and I couldn't really figure out why. I would just feel empty, I would come home and I would be so exhausted after school. I was basically getting up to go back to bed. I had a teacher who was really hard on me. And for me at that age, I guess I couldn't really handle it, or I couldn't figure out what to do about it. I felt, well, he's an authority figure. I can't talk back to him. I can't tell him to stop. I think being in that classroom, being in that environment, to me, it was like he was just chipping away at pieces of me, until there was nothing really left. To me, taking my own life, it felt like the natural next step. Like it just made sense. It may not make sense to a lot of people, but it was just what I knew that I had to do. So I tried. Obviously, I was unsuccessful. Successful is not the right word. Obviously, I am still alive, which I'm very, very grateful for. But at the time, I remember, I went to bed that night, and then I woke up the next morning and I was just confused more than anything. Thinking, I guess, why am I still here? So then after a lot of effort, I told my dad what I did. So he took me to the emergency room. I had a psych evaluation and they told me, you are probably depressed. So after what happened, I went to therapy. I went on medication and actually ended up having one of the best years of my life, which is kind of bizarre to think about, that the year I tried to take my own life ended up being one of the best years of my life, but it's totally true. I met some really great friends, and I had one of the best, just most inspiring teachers that I've ever had in my whole life, like childhood, adulthood, whatever. He was like a blessing. It's like he was there in my life exactly when he needed to be. As awful as my old teacher made me feel, my new teacher made me feel just like I could do anything, like I had talent, like I mattered for impressionable teenagers. That's one of the most important things that you can give to them, is just the idea that they matter, that they're important. It was a lifesaver for me. I don't really know why I decided to do this. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm pretty private. I vent, we all have our issues, but when it comes to something like this is pretty hard for me to just lay it all out there. I guess I just wanted to be honest. I thought, especially now with everything that is happening with COVID, that it would be a good time to just get a positive mental health story out there. You see all the ads on TV that are like, we're all in this together, we're gonna make it through, it's gonna be great. And those messages, to me, they just feel a little like a bit insincere. But at the same time, I know that we, the collective we, are going to be okay. I would just say that right now it's okay to just feel everything. I wouldn't try to so much force yourself to feel like everything's okay, like everything's normal, you know, when it really, really isn't. So it is okay if you're not feeling normal. But just know at the end of this, you are going to be okay. It is going to be okay.
Laurel, thank you so much for sharing that with us, for being so honest. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. See, it's the letter D and it's getting worse. I'm going to work on that. The Defeat Depression campaign is powered by the collaborative partnerships we have with so many community groups and mental health organizations. Through these campaigns, Canadians have raised millions of dollars to support these organizations. Let's take a look at some of those who have benefited from your generosity.
She's down Monday morning, and the sound of London calling greets her from the window pane. And she knows how it goes, yellow, red, green, red and yellow, and she knows how it's gonna change. And she goes walking round, walk the block and you keep your eyes down, and she tries smiling at the same. And people passing by catch an eye and miss the sky, and people turn the other way. But she just keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. 'Cause she's down Monday morning, waking up to the rain falling. She can't carry on this way, but she knows how it goes, yellow, red, green, red and yellow, and she knows something's got to change. And there'll be better days and wetter days, red letter days. You pray there's nothing wrong, 'cause she'll just keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, walking one way. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, walking one way. She's high Sunday night, another light will see the light, and she goes dancing in the rain. And you know how it goes, yellow, red, green, red and yellow, and you know something's got to change. And there'll be better days and wetter days, red letter days. You pray there's nothing wrong, 'cause she'll just keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, walking one way. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, walking one way. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, walking one way. Walking one way. One way.
Well, I found it really inspiring to know that there are so many great organizations out there to support us in whatever kind of struggles we face with our mental health. And if you guys want to be a part of that, please donate now to assist with those mental health providers. I have been feeling inspired so far by everything we've seen today. I'm going to get back on my goal to train for a 1K. So wish me luck. I find I'm a procrastinator. Do you guys ever put on all your gym clothes and then you just sit down and watch TV in them? You think, oh, this is so much easier than working out. Maybe pour yourself a beer. Anyway, it's an uphill battle, but if you can just keep walking, like they said, put one foot in front of the other, I can do it. We can do it. Now I'm pleased to introduce to you Michael Jewel Sorensen. He is the General Manager and Vice President of Lundbeck, and Lundbeck Canada has been an incredible supporter of the Defeat Depression campaign. They've been national sponsors since the beginning. Through their ongoing support, we've been able to grow and support mental health organizations across the country. Let's hear from Michael.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're safe and healthy. COVID-19 has intensified the level of anxiety that many of us feel. But for people living with mental health conditions, the pandemic could trigger a worsening of symptoms or an all-out relapse. A serious barrier to care is the stigma that accompanies these complex brain diseases. We must all do our part to ensure we and our loved ones have access to and receive the help that they need. At Lundbeck, we are tirelessly dedicated to restoring brain health so every person can be their best. This includes talking openly about mental health and advocating for access to treatment and community support. Lundbeck is proud to join the Mood Disorder Society of Canada on its quest to support all communities in improving mental health programs and services and in eliminating the stigma surrounding this very real illness. While at present we need to be apart, we will accomplish this together. Keep up the great work and let's walk. Lundbeck Canada est fier d'associer à la Société pour les troubles de l'humeur du Canada. Marchons ensemble pour soutenir toutes les personnes atteintes de troubles de santé mentale parce que c'est important. À très bientôt.
Merci beaucoup en anglais puis en français. Thank you so much for that message. And our next special guest is Marina Lin. She's a fantastic content creator and musician from Toronto. Over 350,000 subscribers and 28 million views on YouTube. She creates videos surrounding the topics of relationships, LGBTQ+, and mental health. She strives to create meaningful connections with people from all around the world.
Hey guys, first off, I want to say thank you to MDSC for hosting such an awesome event and letting me be a part of it. My name is Marina Lin, and I am a singer-songwriter and content creator here in Toronto, Canada. So I make a bunch of videos and music online surrounding the topics of relationships and mental health. I've been really fortunate over the years to have over 350,000 subscribers on YouTube who support my music and support the videos I make. So I just want to say a big thank you. I suffer from clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder. A few years back, I was in a very, very dark place in my life where I couldn't get out of bed and I was using alcohol and self-harm as coping mechanisms. But after beginning therapy and being on antidepressants and medication, I've been able to make a lot of progress over the past few years. However, I know a lot of people right now are dealing more and more with mental illness and mental health during quarantine because we are all stuck inside. I know I've been personally feeling more down and heavy and just unmotivated and depressed, and all of these familiar feelings are sort of coming back during this time. And I just wanted to stress the importance of taking care of yourself, whatever that means for you. For me personally, that means creating structure in my life, creating a routine that I can follow in a world filled with pretty much no structure right now. Getting some fresh air outside and getting some vitamin D while, of course, following some social distancing protocols and just keeping in touch with family and friends online. Right now is the perfect time to stay connected with people because it can really make you feel less alone in this craziness. Trust me, just talking to this camera right now and feeling like I'm a part of something special and continuing to work and share my music has really helped me personally with my mental health and gives me sort of that motivation to continue pushing forward and be more optimistic. If you're struggling right now, just know that this is totally normal. You are not alone. A lot of people are really feeling it hard, and I can imagine there's a lot of financial stress as well as stress in other areas of our lives that can contribute to feeling even even more overwhelmed. I'll be sharing a song I wrote called This Is What Depression Feels Like. I wrote it when I was on a dosage of medication that wasn't quite the fit. Yeah, if you want to take a listen to some of my music, you can type in Marina Lin in Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and hopefully some of the songs will make you feel less alone and kind of help you go through your day. Here goes the song. If I'm being honest, I'm not okay. Double my dosage, but the pain won't go away. These couple weeks I haven't felt the same. If I'm being honest, I'm not okay. I don't wanna cry for help, but I'm getting tired pretending so well. I thought I was going steady, but my mind's got the best of me. I don't know why I'm still here, honestly. If you took a peek inside of my brain, you'd find the reasons for all of the blame. Constantly drowning, you won't go away. If I'm being honest, I'm not okay. I don't wanna cry for help, but I'm getting tired pretending so well. I thought I was going steady, but my brain's got the best of me. I don't know how to live normally. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't wanna cry for help, but I'm getting tired and I'm not so well. I guess I'm unsteady, 'cause you got the best of me. I hope one day I'll be fine, honestly. Thank you so much for listening. Please stay safe and healthy, and just remember that we are all going to get through this.
Emily, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing. You know what? It was so peaceful that even my dog came to join to find out what's going on here. It's relaxing her as well. And now for a message from the CEO of the Mental Health Commission of Canada, Louise Bradley. She is so outspoken about mental health, and we always appreciate her support. She's been an inspiration in the mental health community and, like many of us, has also experienced mental health issues. Here's Louise.
Good day, everybody. I'm so happy to be able to send a message on this Defeat Depression event. It's a wonderful event each year. This year, it's a little bit different, but nonetheless important. In fact, more than ever, it's important. It's really a time to be reaching out to communities and to seek help. This is no time to be heroic and not asking for help. As some of you know, my first encounter with the mental health system was when I was 12 years old. And I ended up being hospitalized for several weeks under the care, thankfully, of a wonderful, wonderful child psychiatrist. And I feel very fortunate that that was the case. But afterwards, when I left the hospital, there was absolutely nothing. That was a long time ago, and back in a time when these community supports didn't exist. But now they do. And through this pandemic, we're seeing more virtual mental health than ever. So the community has changed somewhat, but it's still there. Wellness Together portal from the federal government, Bridge the Gap, which is now being rolled out across the Atlantic provinces, and similar supports in other provinces, is something that we all can and should access when we need the help. This is something that's impacting all of us. And there are times in our lives when there isn't a pandemic that we should and need to seek out help. So let's keep doing that. Congratulations to all of the communities across the country, particularly peer support communities. It's really important, and it's a wonderful service to be able to access someone who's walked a mile in those shoes. Congratulations on another successful event, and thank you to everybody for participating. Bye for now.
Thank you, Louise. So nice to see you again. Clay Williams is a dedicated mental health advocate with a disarming demeanor and an honest approach to life. As a published author, he has shown his commitment to helping people by donating all proceeds of his books to mental health issues. Clay runs long distances for fun, as you'll see.
Hi, my name is Clay Williams. I work as manager of engineering for a gear manufacturing company in Kitchener, Ontario. And I live in beautiful Elmira with my wife of 39 years and our Cairn Terrier named Duncan. I do quite a lot of running, including marathons and longer races. In 2014, I did really well in a trail race, a 48-hour trail race, and bragged to a friend of mine, and he said I should run across Canada for a charity. My first thought was, well, I don't have enough vacation time. But that was the summer of 2014, and a bunch of things kind of happened all around the same time. There was a lot of press coverage, media about our military and first responders struggling with PTSD and high suicide rates. A friend of mine registered for a 600-kilometer race in upstate New York, so I became aware that running 600 kilometers was a thing. That's the summer that Robin Williams died by suicide. I've got a little brother named Robin Williams. He's still with us, but two of my older brothers died by suicide, and my wife, my daughter, and my oldest sister all struggle with depression. So all of those things coming together, it became really clear that I need to do a long run for mental health. So I plotted out a 785-kilometer route from Port Severn to Ottawa along a couple of Canada's longest canals, and planned fundraiser for Mood Disorder Society of Canada to be run in 2015. The more I learned about mental health, and specifically the more I learned about the mental health care system in Canada, the more clear it became to me that I needed to do more than just a fundraiser. We really needed to raise awareness to try and help end the stigma around mental health. So I became a little more involved, a little more engaged, I guess. And in the summer of 2015, I ran day and night for a little over a week, ran 785 kilometers from Port Severn to Ottawa, and raised around $12,000 that year for the Mood Disorder Society of Canada's Defeat Depression campaign. And then I did it again in 2016, but over a longer period of time. So I did a little less running each day, had more opportunity to talk with more people along the way. Then the past 3 years, we've done it as a relay, engaging more runners, each of those runners letting their social groups know what they're doing and why. And over the past 5 years, we've raised almost $60,000 for the Defeat Depression campaign. We're planning on doing it again this year as a relay, and our goal this year is $15,000. I'm helping to raise funds in honor of my family, but more importantly, I'm working to end the stigma so that people like my two brothers don't have to second guess about asking someone for help. the stigma around mental health is alive and strong. And sometimes that stigma can be more debilitating than the symptoms of mental illnesses. So I think that if I talk to a lot of people, the people with whom I talk about mental health will be less uncomfortable around the subject. So that goes a long way towards ending the stigma. And maybe one of the people that I talk to will someday make the decision to reach out for help instead of making that final fatal decision. I'm not a therapist or a counselor. All I can do is encourage people, if you're in a dark place, talk to someone you trust. In 2015, before I ran the first Canal Pursuit, I bought this Canadian flag and I brought it to all of my races in the season leading up to the run. And I asked people, if you or someone you know is struggling with depression, anxiety, any mood disorders, please sign my flag and I'll carry it the full distance of my run as a symbol that you don't have to carry your burdens alone. I don't know what I can do to help a specific person who's struggling with depression, but I'm hoping that this flag, at least for the 200 or 300 people who have signed it, is a symbol of hope that someone wants to help. I want to help. Thank you.
Clay, that's so beautiful, so inspiring, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing. I was kidding before when I said I'm training for a 1K. I actually do run almost every day, and I will share why. When I was in my depression, my psychiatrist asked, "What will get you off the sofa?" And I said, "Nothing." And she said, "Well, would a dog get you off the sofa?" And I said, "Well, I guess if it was a really sad dog." And on her prescription pad, she wrote the words, "sad dog," and tore it off and gave it to me and said, "There's your medication." And so I came home and showed it to my partner, and we went out. And I had wanted a dog for a long time, but my husband said, "We can't get one because they smell bad." Anyhow, now that I had the prescription, we did go out and get a rescue dog. We got this little pup, and her name is Ellie. And I would start taking her out for walks every now and then. And eventually it was clear the walks weren't cutting it for her. So then we started going a little further and a little further. And then before I knew it, we were running a 5K every day. So I credit that with being part of my mental health recovery. And so I love the fact that Defeat Depression has all of these walks and all of these runs going on, because getting moving, sometimes feeling better starts from the outside in. And when you get physical, it starts to translate into a bit of a feeling of empowerment. And so anyhow, whatever works, different strokes for different folks. For me, a puppy was the best medication I could get. Anyhow, next we have Bill Howitt. Bill is the Chief of Research Workforce Productivity for the Conference Board of Canada. He has over 25 years of experience in strategic HR, mental health, addictions, and leadership. He's going to speak to you today about moving forward in this new reality, because it can't just all be about the sourdough, folks. Got to be proactive. And he's going to offer some very helpful strategies.
You're listening to the Conference Board of Canada's Mental Health and COVID-19 series with Dr. Bill Howitt, Chief of Research, Workplace Productivity.
Welcome. My name is Bill Howitt from the Conference Board of Canada. First of all, I'd like to thank very much for Mood Disorder Society of Canada for inviting me to spend a few minutes to give you a couple ideas on where I think about mental health and things to consider as we all try to navigate this thing called COVID-19 and as we start to consider moving forward to work. So first, I'll give you a bit of my background real quick. I've lived my entire life with a mental health issue myself, with anxiety, ADHD, and learning disability. So I have an inside take. I've also seen patients for over 30 years. I have a PhD in counseling psychology and have lots of experience working as a practitioner. So I'm going to give a couple ideas for you to look at this conversation from both a person who's lived their life with a mental health issue and someone who's supported people with a mental health issue, which I think gives me a unique kind of qualification that I understand the challenges of trying to articulate to someone else what it really means to be challenged by a powerful emotion such as depression and anxiety. So they asked me to give you a couple ideas around returning to work, the uncertainty around it. Now, at the Conference Board of Canada, we are doing a daily COVID-19 series called Mental Health COVID-19. Please check out that link. I'm sure on this video, they'll on the bottom be very kind to make sure you know how to get access to that link. Love to have you watch and participate. We speak daily on ideas specifically to give people tools to navigate COVID-19. Now, in regards to my coaching, I'm going to talk a little bit with you today, and I have about 3 or 4 more minutes. And I'm going to talk to you basically about giving you a couple ideas as you start to return to workplace. And I don't say that return to work, because lots of us that have been fortunate have been working, some of us been sheltering, and some of us essential workers have been dealing and navigating with the pathogen and the fear and anxiety with that. Okay, so people who been sheltering and returning back to work, there's a certain amount of uncertainty. Now, while we start to see the fine weather and you start to see people release themselves, the thing that's important for us to remember is COVID-19 hasn't gone anywhere. And so if we don't take care of making sure we wear our mask, wash our hands, pay attention to our distancing and be with rigor, we're going to put ourselves at risk. So by taking charge of what we can control first is really the first step we can do to help mitigate our anxiety. However, for the return to work, the mnemonic I'll use for this little conversation today that helps me organize my think is norm. As you start to think about it, the N, there's nothing wrong with you experiencing a little bit uncertainty, anxiety, and worry. That's very, very normal. There's nothing wrong with you. That's because it's an unknown situation. Our brain, when it doesn't have certainty, will run some anxiety, which is a way of us being hyper alert to pay attention. And often once we get used to the situation, what's going on, we'll often calm ourselves and we'll feel better. So it's okay to realize you will have some anxious, and especially folks with a mental health issue. I live with anxiety, and I understand that when my anxiety starts to go up a bit, it's really important for me to be doing my diaphragmatic breathing and calming my nervous system and paying attention to what I can do. The O, it's okay to talk to people about how you feel and ensuring we need to do better about expressing your concerns, questions you have, certainties around it. If you're not sure about a PPE, a personal protection equipment, ask questions. Make sure you're clear about the process so you feel comfortable about the reporting of how things are done, policies. It's okay to ask lots of questions. The R is just because you don't know an answer and you get yourself a little bit upset or frustrated or concerned. The big thing I try to tell people with a mental health issue, if you can remember one thing, is when we get caught here, just because we don't know, and when our emotions pull us down, especially depression, if we can anchor in our brain, just because we don't know the answer doesn't mean there's not an answer. And it's okay to be talking to people to help get us up to that part of our brain to get us some support. And the last thing I'm going to say to you, my biggest coaching, I'm going to encourage everybody with a mental health issue or not, get active with a mental fitness strategy. Focus on your daily physical health, resiliency, coping skills, and your social connections. Be active as you can in taking charge of your mental health, because you have mental health. Regardless if you have a mental illness, we still have mental health, and we confuse these two concepts. So mental health is equivalent to physical health. With that, I'm going to leave you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. If you ever have any questions or ideas for us at the conference board around research or things we can do to help other people in our community, we have a deep passion for mental health. We're happy to listen and happy to contribute. So good luck with all the good work you're doing. Mood Society, I think keep it up. It's important work you're doing. So thank you for inviting me. Hi, Bill Howard here. Hopefully you're finding these videos of some value. If you'd like to share these, on the lower right of your video, there's a icon you can click. You can send it through your social media feeds, join the Conference Board of Canada social media feed so we can keep you up to date. And if you have ideas, suggestions, please leave your comments so we can consider them. And if you have things that you'd like us to speak to, I certainly will try to do all I can to help out. With that, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Tips for the new norm. And now we have a word from a special guest who is a wonderful mental health advocate, Mrs. Sharon Johnston. She championed mental health, and as the wife of former Governor General David Johnston, has hosted many events at the Gigi's residence to raise the profile of mental health. We're fortunate that Sharon is a huge supporter of the Defeat Depression campaign, and she once led the run of a whole school of children in Kemptville during an event. Please welcome Mrs. Sharon Johnston.
The paradox of COVID-19 is that we're in this together, but we must stay apart. Positive thoughts are hard when we are separated from family and friends. Please stay connected, reach out, and know this lockup will end. When it's over, we'll all be nicer to each other. You'll see.
I love that. I love those beautiful words of encouragement. Now I'm proud to introduce Dr. Brenda M. Restuel, who is the Dokas First Nation Ojibwe and from the Eagle Clan. Brenda is a clinical psychologist and is the CEO of First People's Wellness Circle, which is an Indigenous-led national organization dedicated to raising the profile of Indigenous mental wellness using Indigenous knowledge and evidence. She has particular interest in cultural safety, Indigenous community development, and capacity building. She's working to reduce suicide rates in First Nations communities and using Indigenous knowledge and practices to do so.
Ani, Bojo, Wapsakwas Dijnakas, Magisi Dodem, Dokis Dinjaba, Anishinaabe, and Dao. Hi, it's Dr. Brenda Restuel. I'm Anishinaabe Kwe from Dokis First Nation and the Chief Executive Officer of First People's Wellness Circle. Thank you for having me here today to talk about Indigenous mental health. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm on the territory of Nipissing First Nation, and I'd also like to acknowledge the territory from which each of you are coming from today, living, playing, and working and enjoying life. They are all connected to a First Nation in your territory. As I said, I'm here to talk about Indigenous mental health, which is a very large, broad topic and larger than what I can talk about in 10 minutes. And I'd like to say that it includes Inuit, First Nations, and Métis, and I cannot speak to any realities and teachings beyond that, which I know as a First Nations woman. So I'm going to talk to you from a First Nations mental health perspective. In our language, we don't have a word for mental health. Instead, what we talk about is Minoba Modswin, which means living a good life, and which can loosely translate, I guess, to wellness, or in the work that I do, mental wellness. Living a good life actually talks about being interconnected. Some of you know about the teachings of the medicine wheel and how living in balance or living a good life means we need to live well mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and it absolutely means that. But it also means recognizing that we are interconnected across creation, that we are interconnected to the plant life, the animal life, those that crawl, that are four-legged, those that are winged, living in the sky, those are in the water. We're connected to all of that. We're connected to the rocks. We're connected to the air. We're connected to sun, moon, stars, and all of those interconnected pieces are what helps us live a good life. Our interconnectedness is also connected to each other, to our families, to our communities, to our language, and to our culture. Interconnected teachings have taught us a lot. It has taught us when we teach our young people about that if we did not have all of those things in creation, we would not be able to survive. We need them for clothing, for food, for shelter, for direction, as I mentioned earlier. And so if we were to lose one aspect of that, like water or clean air, that we would not be able to survive. But that it needs us the least. And so we must be the most humble and the most respectful, because we need all of those things to live. The teaching, one of my favorite teachings, is around the teaching of the tree and how it is so interconnected, not only in terms of what we see in front of us, what's around its, the birds and the animals and all those things that live in it and that pollinate it, and the air and the water. But when we go beneath beneath the tree, underneath, we see its roots and its connectedness to the roots of other trees, not just its tree, like if it's a maple tree, not just a maple tree, but all trees, and then all things in the earth, the flowers, the plants, the fauna, the flora, and all of those roots interconnect and make their way to the water, and they nourish each other, and so they take care of each other. And so that's just a really good teaching about mental wellness, or about wellness is how we must take care of each other. And I think when we look at this time during COVID, we are definitely learning about interconnectedness. We've learned that a virus that has started somewhere across the globe has spread across the globe and has had impacts that have reverberated for all of us. And so we think about interconnectedness sometimes in a negative way in this example, but it also teaches us about the positive parts of interconnectedness, those public health measures around staying home and staying safe and protecting others. That is one message of interconnectedness, and how when we stay home, we're taking care of our neighbors, not only ourselves and our family, but our neighbors and our community at large. It also has taught us that from a public health measuring, be careful what you touch, because you don't know who touched it and what it has on it, and it can give you sickness. So that's from a very negative point of view. But from a positive point of view, it has taught us that if we take care and are gentle and kind in what we touch and what we think and what we say and how we treat each other, we can nourish each other. We can take care of each other. So, making sure that we're helping each other as best we can. The work I do that I've been mandated to do for so long has come from the First Nations Mental Wellness Continuum Framework. And this framework is based on the voice of First Nations people and has been promoted and supported by some of my partners, like the Thunderbird Partnership Foundation and the Assembly of First Nations and the First Nations and Inuit Health Branch of Indigenous Services Canada. And this framework that you see here, this is the First Nations Mental Wellness Continuum Framework. It's a very interconnected and complex model that I'm not going to talk about, but I just want to highlight culture as a foundation. This piece here is really critical. It talks about how culture is a significant and foundational piece to our mental wellness. Why is it foundational? Well, it teaches us a lot. It teaches us about our language, and within our language is all of the teachings to living a good life. It teaches us about connection to our identity in terms of who we are as a person today, but how we've come to be this person. So it teaches us about our interconnectedness to those who come behind us, our ancestors who paved the way for where we live today, and about what we do and how we live life interconnects us to those around us now, but also to the 7 generations ahead, those yet to be born. So it teaches us about that. Our culture connects us to our knowledge and our evidence and our teachings, some of them that I've referenced here, like the medicine wheel, but all kinds of teachings about how to live a good life and about who we are and why we are important and how we contribute to the wellness of our community and of our family and of creation. So those are all really important pieces. Culture as foundation, though, also speaks to recognizing that the social determinants of health all play a part in our mental wellness. And that is definitely a piece of our framework here. It also tells us things around things like the importance of partnerships and collaboration as being critical to our mental wellness. And I'll mention that in a minute. So they're all important. One of the bigger pieces it also talks about in the framework is the importance of collectivity and how, as First Nations people, we are we think collectively, we think as nations and as families. So think about not only our immediate family, but our extended family, our community family, our clan families. So it talks about all of those kinds of collective thinking. So for us as First Nations people, when we think about that, there's been many challenges for us. We have higher rates of mental health problems like anxiety and depression, higher rates of substance misuse, higher rates of chronic health problems, higher rates of social health problems. but it also tells us from a collective point of view how we can take care of each other and how we can address these negative impacts to each other. And so that's a little bit about what this framework talks about. And so during COVID-19, we have looked at this messaging and recognized that we think more collectively. Some of the messaging has been challenging for us. So thinking about messaging around things like physical distancing is difficult because we live in overcrowded housing. So to do that is really challenging. Thinking about washing our hands several times for 20 seconds is also really difficult for our communities who don't have access to clean drinking water. That is really difficult to do. And asking them to use water, which is a real precious resource, is hard to imagine doing. Thinking about social distancing when it was a language that was used was really difficult because we tend to celebrate we are social people and tend to celebrate things from birth to death. So to not be able to come together to help people in celebrating is really challenging. And so the messaging hasn't always resonated with us. Even thinking about 2 meters apart, some youth have said to us, why don't we use messaging like, standing 1 moose length apart or 2 fishing rod lengths apart as a way to think about messaging. So thinking about how we change our messaging. But our leaders have heard that if we're thinking, because we are collective and those are challenges, we have to take extraordinary measures in a way to ensure the health and wellness of our people, because should COVID come into our communities, it could be devastating for us, absolutely devastating. And so some communities have locked down their communities. And for some, that has led to experiences of racism by the non-Indigenous communities around who don't understand why they're doing that and wish to have access to some of the commodities in the First Nations. But they're doing it to protect their citizens, the vulnerable ones, the young and the old, and all of those in between. And our people are working really hard for that. But in lockdown, it has also triggered us. It has triggered those increased feelings of marginalization, increased feelings of isolation, things that we have experienced as part of colonialism and colonial acts. And lockdown has meant that there's been a really watching who comes and goes from the community and that they need permission to do so. And it has reminded some of our people about the reserve pass system, who prior to the 1950s, people needed a pass to actually come and go from a community. And that came from the government. And so those kinds of measures, although meant to keep people safe and protected, has kind of increased and triggered people's trauma. And so our rates of anxiety and depression and fear are heightened as a result of that. And so we're seeing those higher rates of mental health challenges and higher rates of poor coping, substance misuse and alcohol use and things like violence. But one of the beauties about us is our culture. And in our culture, we are talking about our strengths of our people, our resilience, and the lockdowns are meant to be about strengths. And so our communities have used lockdowns to bring our people together. And so they have put in programs like food security programs to care for all members of the community to have access to good, healthy foods so that they don't have to go into the communities. And not just those in lockdown, but many communities are bringing in food and feeding their community members as a way to keep them safe so they don't have to go to the urban centers where they might be at risk of contracting COVID and or bringing it back into the community. They have also gone and started to use wellness checks. So calling sometimes all people in the community or those who are more isolated and vulnerable as a way to ensure that they're safe and they're well. Many have used technology such as this to bring out language classes, to have our knowledge keepers and our elders come and give teachings on how to use traditional medicines to boost your immunity, how to deal with respiratory illnesses, teachings on the springtime, on the importance of like the bear teaching and how the bear and hibernating means the importance of being still and being quiet and taking care of oneself and boosting your immune system and giving space and time for the rest of creation to also rejuvenate, which is what we are seeing in this time of COVID. We see that the air is cleaner, the water is cleaner, and animals and plants are flourishing while we have quieted down. And I've seen on social media, many people say that they like this time. They've liked the time to be quiet, to do the things they haven't been able to do, to reconnect with family, to be able to connect and give those teachings to their children. And so it's a precious, precious time during COVID as well. It's not all been about fear and worry, although for some it has been. So for us as First Nations people during this time, promoting and supporting our mental wellness has been about reconnecting to family, reconnecting to our language, reconnecting to the teachings and to the evidence, and to rejoicing and celebrating the collective efforts to protect ourselves and keep each other safe. And so during this day, I encourage all of you to think about how you are interconnected to all of those things around you, all of those people around you, how you can manage and support your own mental wellness. Some of us do that through prayer, through smudging, through sharing of meals and laughter. Take the time that you need to find those things that bring you joy and find good mental wellness. So Bamapi, miigwech for this time.
Thank you, Dr. Restwell. And I can see people are writing in and reacting. Lori says, amazing message. Amber says, this is very inspiring. So thank you so much. And now an update from the nursing sector by Dr. Vicky Smyth of Western University. She is faculty and the director of the Arthur Labatt School of Nursing, Faculty of Health Sciences. Front-of-line workers are going through a very trying time, as we're aware, and I'll turn it over to Vicky, who will provide us some insight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Smyth, and I bring you greetings as a nurse educator, researcher, and administrator who also has been a board member of the Mood Disorder Society of Canada for a very long time. And prior to becoming a faculty in academia, almost 20 years ago, I was a nurse clinician working in primarily mental health settings over a 25-year period. Currently, I'm the director and faculty in the Arthur Labatt Family School of Nursing at Western University in London, Ontario, and it is such a privilege to be here today to be part of the 2020 Defeat Depression National Mental Health Campaign live stream event. First, I want to give a shout out to all of my colleagues in clinical practice at the front lines of this pandemic, in addition to all of the other essential service workers who work to support and maintain the health and well-being of our communities, sanitation workers, health and social service and food industry folks, and the list goes on. You are awesome. It goes without saying that we're living in a new time. So what are we doing here in nursing in the universities and colleges? Well, to ensure the well-being of the nursing workforce, we are committed to continuing to maintain high Canadian standards in nursing education, to graduating the next generation of leaders in healthcare. As a member of the board of the Canadian Association of Schools of Nursing and a member of the Council of Ontario University Nursing Programs, the national and provincial nursing education bodies, respectively, I can say this with some assuredness. This is our commitment. The impact of COVID-19 has shed light on a number of health and social inequities, abysmal conditions in some long-term care facilities, which include, amongst other things, inadequate staffing levels and poor food quality. Migrant workers are isolated in camps, the very people who we bring into the country to work on our farms so we have adequate food supplies. Homeless shelters, youth shelters, and women's shelters, where tenuous funding arrangements render them vulnerable and render the organizations vulnerable and the people they serve. This pandemic has drawn attention to the meaning of place and space and home. It is not the same for everyone. It has drawn attention to social isolation of so many. And as all of you know, this is a key determinant of mental health and well-being. Not everyone has the privilege of access to technologies, another determinant of health and well-being. And I know for myself, I am absolutely dependent on technologies to have contact with my family, with my grandchildren, with my colleagues, with my children, and my friends. Notably, we need a cadre of well-educated nurses able to respond appropriately in all of these areas. It is a challenge in this new era. They need to be able to advocate for our communities and the necessary changes required in the new and ever-changing healthcare environments. And I mean here all environments: community health, public health, hospital care, home care, and long-term care. COVID-19 also has shifted the light onto our strengths and what we're capable of doing. There have been many superheroes, and notably, they don't necessarily wear capes. In my field, we have nursing students employed as personal support workers and working in screening sites and as volunteers supporting healthcare workers by providing, for example, daycare and grocery delivery service. Alongside medical and other health professional students, they are doing this in addition to working with street and community programs to deliver food and, of course, other activities. All of this while they are waiting to be able to return to school. And there are so many examples of nurses and other healthcare and social service professionals in the field going well beyond the call of duty. This includes a myriad of staff in these organizations, including those in universities and colleges, who provide incredible structural and other supports to students, faculty, and the organization and their community. Again, working way beyond the call of duty. They are all around us. They are everywhere. These acts of kindness and compassion warm my heart. I am inspired by students and colleagues and very hopeful moving forward. Why? Because we're standing together with our colleagues and communities of practice to plan for the future. We are partnering to create strategies to address inequity and support the mental health and well-being of all. We are working together for the community good. Let us remember that physical distancing does not need to equate with social isolation. Yes, we need to maintain physical space, but we can still call one another and check in. Send the occasional reminder that we're thinking of our friends and family members, that we are here for one another. Let us not forget the frail, the ill, those traumatized by violence, i.e. those incapacitated in some way who will find it difficult and sometimes impossible to reach out. Small acts of kindness have enormous impact. We have witnessed this over and over again. I send you all an invitation to stand together with us in nursing to make a difference. Let us address the impact of COVID-19 and attend to what it has taught us. Let us defeat depression. Thank you, and please stay safe.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smythe. Absolutely. I've been doing the Zoom dinners with my parents every Saturday night, and that's been going well. Reaching out however I can. I'm grateful that bakeries are open. That also helps. Just there's my 2 cents. All right. Now to the kids. We're going to hear from our education sector, which is very important. My kids have been home this whole time. We're trying to find new things to do. Getting under each other's skin very easily. The other day, my daughter gave me the nicest compliment and I snapped at her. I feel bad. She rubbed my face and said, your beard is so soft. Anyway, it's all getting to us, is what I'm saying. Anne O'Brien is the Director of Religious Education at OCSTA. Let's hear from Anne.
Hi, I'm pleased to be here with you today and the Mood Disorders of Canada as we celebrate this very special month, Mental Health Awareness Month. And I thank you for the opportunity. My name is Anne O'Brien, and I'm the Director of Catholic Education for the Ontario Trustees Association. Today I've been asked to speak to you a little bit about transitioning back to school amidst a global pandemic. In schools, we are called to inform, to form, and to transform our students to be prepared for the future. That's not just the academic domain. That's also the social, the emotional, the mental health, the spiritual, the overall well-being of our students in addition to their student achievement. And right now, our well-being, our mental health has been thrown a curveball, and that's called COVID-19. So what do we know? We know the longer we're experiencing this pandemic, the more the mental health of our students and our staff and our families are at risk. We know that not all people experience the pandemic in the same way. If you're alone, that's not easy. If you're experiencing distance learning for the first time where your parents are serving as your teacher and the children are serving as the students, that's not easy. If you've never experienced technology-enabled learning or distance learning and you're trying to figure that out at the same time, that's not easy. If you've lost your job and are experiencing financial distress, that's not easy. And if you're working on the front line, whether it's in the medical health field or a truck driver or in our stores, that's not easy. So what do we do? What do we need to do and what do we need to know? We need to know that you can reach out, that our crisis lines are open. It's clear that the Kids Helpline is up over 400%. It's clear that our domestic abuse is up and our home violence is up. We need to be prepared when we transition back to school that our administrators and our teachers and our students are ready. And please know we're getting ready now. We're looking forward to being able to provide schools that are safe, that are warm, that are welcoming, that are trauma-informed, that really understand a mentally healthy school and to get things ready. We've surveyed our students. We know what they're afraid about. They're afraid of the gaps in their learning over the last number of weeks. They're afraid of getting back with their peers after such a long time. They're afraid of social distancing in the classroom and what's that going to look like. They're afraid of some super spreading of the virus when they're in large groups. So by knowing this information, we're informed and we'll be able to support our students and our families. We have great students. We have really good teachers. They're in the most powerful vocation in the world. We've got fabulous student services staff and great administrators. So if I could leave you with 3 things. Number 1 is to be joyful. Find what makes you happy. Find what gives you passion. Find what gives you purpose. And use this time now and until we all return to school to ensure that we're finding our purpose and some passion and some joy every day. Number 2, be hopeful. Inspire the hope within you and inspire hope among others. And finally, listen. Be a great friend and listen to the warm and the welcoming thoughts of each person around you with kindness to make this world a better place.
Thank you so much. I feel like our kids are in good hands with your caring, and I sure am excited for when school starts up again on behalf of all parents. Anyway, as we've seen today, the Defeat Depression campaign is having a profound impact all across the country. Please give what you can, if you can, to keep these programs running. It's great that communities come together to raise funds to support their families and neighbors, and this campaign really should be in every community across Canada, especially getting to remote areas that might not normally have the resources to get this stuff going. We are here for you. If you don't have any initiative like this in your community, consider bringing an event in your city or town. Simply connect with us through the website and we'll work with you and support the organization of the event there. So we make it very easy. All you have to do is have some determination and we'll take care of the rest. So it's an easy thing to do and the rewards are incredible, as you've seen. The campaign works because you care. Together we can defeat depression. So the website is here. Please sign in and take a walk or run for your mental health and to improve mental health for other people and let people know that you care. You raise a couple of bucks for these incredible mental health organizations who definitely need our support right now. So remember, there is no health without mental health. I hope you guys have been informed, entertained, and inspired. I have definitely been inspired. Thank you for walking, for running, for doing whatever you can for mental health. Thank you for joining us, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks, guys.